The arrival. The massive ship materialized just beyond lunar orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning. Its golden surface rippled like liquid metal, defying known physics as it smoothly decelerated without any visible propulsion. Earth's combined military forces scrambled to defensive positions while civilian observatories worldwide tracked its impossible movements. Dr. Sarah Chen, lead xenophysicist at NASA's Deep Space Network, was the first to detect the transmission. It came not through radio waves or any known electromagnetic spectrum, but somehow directly into the consciousness of everyone on Earth simultaneously. Your ancestors once knew us as gods. We have returned. The being who stepped through the shimmering portal onto the UN headquarters stage called himself Odin. 9 feet tall, clad in ornate armor that seemed to shift between solid metal and pure energy, he carried himself with the weight of millennia. Behind him stood others. Thor, Freya, Tyr, names pulled straight from humanity's myths and legends. We seek sanctuary, Odin announced to the hastily assembled world leaders. Our realm faces destruction. We offer you our knowledge, our power, in exchange for shelter. His voice resonated with supernatural authority that should have commanded instant obedience. Instead, UN Security Chief James Martinez stepped forward, his dark eyes narrowed. With all due respect, he said, choosing his words carefully, we'll need more than ancient stories and impressive technology to verify your claims. Humanity has grown up since the Viking Age. The being called Odin's expression flickered between amusement and annoyance. You doubt us still? We who shaped your civilizations. Very well. Shall we demonstrate our power? Actually, Martins replied, nodding to his security team as they moved into position, we'd prefer you demonstrate your willingness to comply with Earth's protocols for first contact scenarios, starting with quarantine and diplomatic registration. The gods exchanged glances, clearly not expecting this level of organization and resistance from their former worshippers. Humanity had indeed grown up, developing their own technologies, their own strength. The age of blind faith was over. Diplomatic tensions. The quarantine facility beneath Geneva's Lake Complex was the most secure and sophisticated containment center on Earth. Its walls, reinforced with experimental quantum-locked materials, could theoretically withstand a nuclear blast. Today, they were being tested by something far more dangerous. This is beneath us. Thor's booming voice echoed through the facility's corridors. Inside his cell, crackling energy danced across his skin, but the containment field held firm. We come offering salvation, and you treat us like criminals. Dr. Chen adjusted her readings, fascinated by the energy signatures. Your technology is remarkable, she admitted, but that's exactly what concerns us. You appear human, yet your biology is clearly engineered. Your cells contain structures we've never seen before. In the adjacent cell, Freya laughed, a sound like wind chimes that set the sensors screaming. Of course we're engineered. We perfected ourselves eons ago. You could have this too, if you'd only submit to our guidance. Submit. General Santos, head of the UN Security Council, stepped into view. That's an interesting choice of words for supposed refugees seeking sanctuary. The tension in the room shifted. Even through the containment fields, they could feel the gods' anger like static electricity raising the hair on their necks. You dare question us? Odin's voice was deadly quiet. We've watched your species crawl from the mud, guided you, shaped you. Without us, you'd still be huddling in caves. That's debatable, Dr. Chen replied, reviewing her data. Our archaeological records show steady human advancement long before your supposed intervention. In fact, the periods of your strongest influence correlate with some of humanity's darkest ages. The truth unveiled. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A junior analyst named Raj Patel noticed a pattern in the gods' energy signatures that matched ancient cave paintings found across the globe, not as religious symbols, but as warnings. Look at this, he said, pulling up the holographic displays. These aren't worship scenes. They're documenting invasion attempts, And not just by Norse gods. Every ancient culture has similar records, just with different names for the invaders. Dr. Chen's eyes widened as she overlaid the data. They're the same beings, just wearing different masks for different cultures. But why? The answer came during Odin's interrogation. Under the combined pressure of scientific evidence and diplomatic isolation, his facade finally cracked. "Our world is dying," he admitted, his godly persona slipping. "We've spent millennia searching for a new home. Earth was perfect, primitive enough to accept us as gods, advanced enough to be useful. But you developed too quickly, became too independent." "You mean we stopped being easy targets?" General Santos corrected. "How many other worlds have you conquered this way?" Odin's silence was answer enough. Power play. The attempted breakout was inevitable. It began in the deep hours of the night, when the gods combined their power in a desperate bid for freedom. Energy fields flared, alarms blared, and for a moment it seemed their godly might would prevail. But humanity had not been idle. The containment cells, designed using data gathered during the gods' captivity, held firm. More importantly, Earth's defenders had prepared for this moment. "Fascinating," Dr. Chen remarked as she activated the dampening field. "Your powers aren't supernatural at all. They're based on manipulating quantum fields through your enhanced biology. Advanced, yes, but ultimately just technology." The gods' efforts sputtered and failed as their powers were systematically analyzed, understood, and countered. Their greatest advantage, humanity's fear and reverence, was gone, replaced by scientific curiosity and technological ingenuity. A new understanding. The final negotiations took place not in a grand temple or celestial realm, but in a simple conference room. The beings who had once demanded worship now sat as equals at the diplomatic table. "We can offer you sanctuary," Martine stated, "but as refugees, not rulers. Your knowledge and technology will be shared openly, studied, and integrated responsibly. No more deception, no more playing God. You would dictate terms to us." Odin asked, but the fight had gone out of his voice. "We're offering you a chance to be part of humanity's future," Dr. Chen corrected. "Not as gods, but as teachers, partners, fellow seekers of knowledge. Your people's survival doesn't require our submission, just our cooperation." The former gods looked at each other, seeing humanity clearly for the first time. Where they had expected to find primitive worshippers, they had discovered equals, beings who had achieved through determination and ingenuity what they had gained through genetic engineering and conquest. "Perhaps," Freya said softly, "it is we who have something to learn from you." And so began a new chapter in human history, not of gods and mortals, but of different species working together, each bringing their own strengths to face the challenges of an infinite universe. The age of gods was over. The age of understanding had begun.